We had a nurses panel, and to introduce the nurses panel and to moderate, here's Royal Diamond Judy Boger.
Good afternoon. Once a nurse, always a nurse. That's one of the first things I heard when I was in one of my first days of my nurse's education. And I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting thing to say, but what she said was, once you're a nurse, you don't just get the education up here, you get it in here. And that never goes away. The feelings, the thoughts, the emotions of a nurse always are there. The qualities that you look for in a nurse are caring, being able to teach, being able to take orders. We know that. And also being able to make quick decisions and take the responsibility for it. These are things that all of these women have been taught. Now let me introduce the wonderful panel we have up here. I'm going to read their bios because they're very outstanding. Dr. Anne Marie Brooks. She's the Dean of the Catholic University School of Nursing in Washington, D.C. She earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Master of Science in Nursing, and Doctor of Nursing Science degrees from Catholic University. She earned an MBA from Loyola College in Baltimore, and her 34 career in nursing includes military service in the United States Army. She served as president of the American Psychiatric Nurses Association, president of the American Organization of Nurse Executives, and on several national and international groups. She's a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing and has received other awards and recognition. She has substantial international experience, consultation, publishing, and speaking engagements. She's a gold NECAN consultant. Sana Keller is a master's prepared nurse with work experience in surgery, home health, hospice, intensive care, emergency, and management. She's worked as a head nurse and as a nursing supervisor. Sana is an enterostomal therapist who has worked in the hospital setting and as an independent contractor. She has been successful in using her NECAN experience as an educator consultant to have her license renewed twice by the North Dakota Board of Nursing since joining NECAN. She's a platinum distributor. Ruth Kent, who happens to be my neighbor, she also lives near Asheville, North Carolina. RN, BSN, started out as a nurse's aide in nursing home at 16 years of age and continues to this day still in the medical field. She's graduated first with an LVN program at St. Mary's in Rochester, and then she went back to school for her RN degree, and she's worked in and has been the supervisor of many different specialty care areas. She is a silver NECAN wellness consultant. Sharon Weinstein has a master's degree in health administration and is a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing, past president of the Infusion Nurses Society, and past director of the Infusion Nurses Certification Corporation. She's authored several textbooks, published some papers, has directed a nurse leadership program in the Soviet Union and Central and Eastern European countries for the past 12 years. She also leads a not-for-profit organization with several other nurse colleagues, and their goal is to fund their educational programs with NECAN earnings. Madeline Zawarski has over 36 years experience as a nurse. She has dual masters in nursing and an executive MBA from Case Western, and is a fellow of the Academy of Healthcare Executives and the Wharton J&J Nurses Executive Fellows Program. Her clinical area is cardiovascular critical care nursing. She spent the last 17 years as Senior Vice President of Nursing and Operations of a healthcare systems in Lorain, Ohio, associated with the University Hospitals of Cleveland. Her career of 36 years has included awards, recognitions, publications, and leadership roles in various state, regional, and national organizations, as well as civic, religious, and community boards of directors. Madeline is a platinum NECAN wellness consultant. Regine Desroses is a midwife. She is this year's Distributor of the Year in France. She is and a platinum distributor. She is a graduate of the University of Dakar in Senegal and of the University of Toulouse in France. She specialized in neonatal intensive care and perinatal reeducation. She has delivered over 4,000 babies. Along with her career as a midwife, she got her degree in NLP, and she's been in multi-level marketing organizations for over 20 years. She and her husband Jean-Pierre were diamonds with over 10,000 people in their organization in another company. She's a platinum distributor. Thank you. One thing that I think everybody would be interested in, if you could briefly each tell us why each of you were attracted to Nikken. Anne-Marie?
I was attracted to Nikken because a very trusted friend had gotten involved with it, and I ended up having a very significant product experience after I signed up. I hadn't been able to kneel on my right knee for 2.5 years, and all of a sudden I could again kneel. And as the Dean of Catholic University, we go to a lot of events where there's a lot of kneeling. Guilt really does work. But I also knew that there were 2.2 million nurses in the United States, and probably many people in this audience don't know that nurses have ranked #1 as the most trusted profession by the Gallup poll for the last 4 out of 5 years. So I thought not only could I bring balance into my life, but why wouldn't I want to share Nikken products and credibility with my colleagues and say to other people, because nurses help people all the time, why couldn't we, in a special way, make a significant contribution to society?
Thank you. Sana?
I quickly saw this as a way to be able to retire my husband. He's a radiologist, and as of December of last year, we retired him from full-time practice, and we're moving to Arizona next week. And so the health and wellness part really intrigued me too, and I finally saw a way that I could make an impact in healthcare that could really make a difference, and this is the only thing I've ever found. It's awesome.
Ruth?
Well, for myself, in 31 years of intensive care nursing, trauma nursing, I was left with one big word: survival. And I didn't want to live my life that way. And when I saw this, due to reasons of my own health, but personally, I saw freedom and a life of joy and to be all I could be.
Sharon?
Well, you heard last night that we actually got involved in Nikken because of a pet experience. But from my standpoint, once I got over the pet experience and realized that the products really do work and was willing to share it with lots of my own professional colleagues, what I really thought was, actually there are 2.7 million nurses in the United States and 250,000 in Canada. That's a lot of healthcare professionals, and I truly believed, and I still do, that nurses should be involved in helping to establish the evidence base for alternative practice, and that the wellness revolution is expected to peak. Nikken is certainly on target with that. The World Health Organization and healthypeople.com predict exactly the same thing. So we're in a position right now where we're where we need to be, and the only way to go is forward.
Madeline?
I spent from 1965 to 1996 trying to find ways to help nurses, frustrated myself first, and then by continuing my own education, and helping to find a delivery care system where nurses would have more time to give quality patient care. And then it was restructuring, cost containment, whatever. I was outplaced. A nurse colleague, Jerry Tisch, who's in the audience today, my sponsor, for 2 years, tried to introduce me to Nikken, and I wouldn't listen. And then I met her, and she had such an amazing, life-changing product experience that I could see the difference in Jerry. And since I knew her and trusted her, bought a pair of Mag Steps, and the rest is history. And what I have learned is, what I have found is that this is the most innovative delivery system, Nikken the products, Nikken the company, and the network marketing distribution system, that it is a way of providing high quality of care to patients.
Thank you. Regine?
First of all, excuse me, because my English is very limited, so I will be obliged to read my paper. When I saw Nikken, we had gone bankrupt. with our previous land business, and I had quit my practice as a midwife. I was at that time a consultant with an American network company that had started in France. This job gave me the urge to start all over again a new network. Nikken was about prevention, and it was a link with my former practice. I wanted to stay in the healthcare industry and use my expertise in network marketing too. It was the ideal combination. Excuse me. And furthermore, the marketing plan seemed very attractive. I knew I could make more money there than in my previous MLN network. Is it okay? You understand? Just one more. We reached the amount of income that we had as a diamond when we went gold.
Thank you. Anne-Marie, how have you been able to use your background as an educator and an administrator to build your Nikken business?
My life has been devoted to continuous learning. And so Nikken and continuous learning are congruent. I have learned so much from as a wellness distributor, but I think my educational bent and my partnership and my collaboration with other disciplines throughout my career has made it very easy to work with other people as a team. And as one of the former speakers said, you need to listen to what people want. And my background has always been about listening what people want before I tell them what they need.
Thank you. Sana, tell us about that relicensure thing and what steps did you take to make that possible, and what advice would you give to other nurses in the audience?
About 3 years ago, one of the nurses on our team found out that I was planning on letting my license lapse because I wasn't willing to put in the hours required to maintain my license. We have a certain amount of hours every 2 years. And she didn't like that idea. She was, at that time, president of the North Dakota Nurses Association. She spoke with the Board of Nursing president and explained that what we do as wellness consultants is very much within the realm of what nurses do. And so I got in touch with the Board of Nursing president, and she asked me to document what I was doing and submit that. And I was willing to do that, but I remember mailing it off and telling my husband, I just can't imagine that they would be willing to take a look at this. But I thought, no harm in giving it a whirl. And about a month later, I had my license renewed. And I've since been tracking and documenting. I submitted it once more last December, and I again had my license renewed. I would encourage you to check with your Board of Nursing, see what members of your nursing association are Nikken members, see which ones you need to talk to become Nikken wellness consultants with you, and have them join forces. Give the Board of Nursing director a rollout. That helps as well. Just educate them on what we do, because it is so in line with what nurses are all about.
Thank you. Ruth.
That's great.
Ruth, would you tell us what changes Nikken has made in your life? I know they're very dramatic.
Well, all my life, I've not had the best of health. You know, what did I do? Go into healthcare. I thought maybe I could find some answers. Well, we know the answer there. But what I did not know is the Band-Aid effect. I was finding little answers, and then I'd go down, find answers, and I'd go down, and I'd find answers and keep going down. And at 36, I thought if I was positive and I kept active, that I could beat any of these challenges that I was faced with. At 36, I did a half marathon. At 37 and a half, I did a 150-mile bike ride. And at 45, I found myself on the couch, and I heard every day of my life. I had gone to multiple forms of health care, even to an energy zoning, and, you know, all had a benefit, but it just didn't work as complete. And what I had was, I had degeneration of all my joints, my back, and when I was able to work, I used to have to come home and put ice packs on my neck to just even stop hurting a little bit. Well, it got to the point where I couldn't work at all. And I went to my neurologist, who I knew was going to give me the facts. He wasn't going to give me the ruffles, give me the facts. And he said, Ruth, I see you in a wheelchair in 6 years. That was 7 years ago. And as he was telling me that, he was bending over to get a piece of paper. And I said, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm getting your disability papers out. And something came over me, and I just said, no, I have to talk to someone bigger than both of us. And I went and prayed for 3 days. And I did nothing but do that. And when we're silent, we can hear more than if we keep talking or keep active. Well, I just knew that I was going to get an answer. And when I was approached by magnets, it was the furthest thing from my mind. I just thought, you have got to be kidding. Well, the first person that introduced it to me actually introduced me to the business, and never for 6 to 8 weeks giving after phone calls, never showed me a product. So what did I do? I walked into a wellness preview like a bull in a china shop. I just took off, and I walked up to everybody wanting to have my own demonstration. Don't we all wish somebody would walk in? But here I was, and a man was doing the rollout, showing the mag crater, and all of a sudden a pinched nerve that medications weren't helping, nothing was taking that away. That was just like one of the other things piled on with the problems I had. And all of a sudden I could move my neck. Well, I thought, okay, here's something, I need to check this out. And I got introduced to the technology by 2 people coming up to me to take the time to hear me, to listen to me, to show me, and to give me every opportunity to get my health back. But one quick story is that my daughter, we see things in our own life, and sometimes we don't really face it like, well, that could have been a coincidence or something like this. But my daughter was diagnosed with a neurological problem where she would pass out, and it caused her sleeping problems. She has no problems with this anymore and is on no medication. And she's 13 years old, living that life of freedom that I was looking for. Thank you.
Madeline, how do you approach other healthcare professionals?
The same way that we're supposed to approach anyone. Knowing that they come from a healthcare background and knowing what I know about our healthcare system or our sick care system, I ask the questions to find out what they need and what they want. And then segue, once I find out what they want and what their interests are, I segue immediately into the opportunity that we know that NICEN is, and then presenting the business opportunity and or the products, if their need is the product. Draw from that the positioning of our sick care industry, the network marketing industry, NICEN as the company, and the wellness opportunity.
Thank you. Regine, what has been your biggest obstacle in France to building this business? And are the obstacles there any different than they are here in North America?
Okay, I'm going to try to speak too in English. Jean-Pierre is here? Okay.
Yes.
Translator. Obstacle? No, not really, but I think people in France and people in USA are the same. We have the same objection, I think. The time, the money, no interest for not. I think it's the same. So I continue in French. La question était, quels ont été les plus gros obstacles pour nous en France et est-ce qu'ils pourraient être les mêmes qu'aux États-Unis? À mon avis, je pense que ce sont les mêmes obstacles.
The question was, what were our biggest obstacles in building this business in France, and are they any different than what you encounter in the States? The answer is,
les gens sont les mêmes partout.
People are the same everywhere.
Souvent, on s'imagine que ça se passe mieux ailleurs.
Sometimes we think that the pastures are greener outside.
Okay. Et en discutant avec les gens, on remarque qu'on a tous les mêmes interrogations.
And when we talk to people, we realize that we have all the same questions.
Les obstacles ne sont pas des obstacles,
Obstacles are not real obstacles
à condition qu'on veuille ne pas les considérer comme des obstacles.
when we want to consider them not as obstacles but as solutions.
J'ai toujours dit que notre plus grand ennemi, c'était nous.
I always said that our biggest enemy is ourselves.
Et je ne veux pas voir la montagne, mais je veux voir ce qu'il y a derrière.
I don't want to see the mountain, I want to see what is beyond the mountain.
Okay, that's all.
We have an urgent need for prevention in this country and all over the world, and for more wellness education, in addition to the costs of all of the health care that's rising. In USA Today, just yesterday, they talked about obesity as a disease. Anybody who stayed in this hotel, you probably got that issue. And that's a sad state of affairs, that obesity is now considered an illness along with other chronic illnesses. And there's a greater demand than ever for nurses. There was just an advertisement on our local radio station that they were giving big sign-up bonuses for any nurses who came and worked at their hospital. And there are a lot of us around. Every time I go to a NECAN function, every time somebody comes up to me and says, I am a nurse too. Would all the nurses in the audience please stand up? Please remain standing. Now, think about this. Think about this. Wait a minute. Think about this. Nurses remain standing. The qualities of a nurse is that we are caring, we are good teachers, we are good listeners, we are good leaders, we are coachable. And think about that. These are the same qualities as NECAN distributors. So please go and talk to some nurses and bring them to the next meeting too. Thank you very much.